𝐕 has become this new big thing in the gaming industry, and for very good reasons. It's very different at the core, with unique gameplay that features a lot of blood-sucking, heart-pumping action. And here are some things that I wish I knew before I started playing the game that could have helped me a lot.
Show you the light!
Start with PvE. One of the very first things that I think could have helped me tremendously is not jumping directly into PvP. Instead, I should have started with a PvE server because it is much easier to play and build a better understanding of the basics. Because other players are not a threat, and you can learn a lot from them by working together. So, when you are just starting out, I would highly recommend you start with a PvE server before making the jump to PvP, especially if you haven't been in touch with survival games before. Experiment with servers. Since we're talking about servers, there's one more thing that you should keep in mind. Servers in 𝐕 are basically divided into two different categories, PvP and PvE. But what's important here is to take a good look at the server settings. Each server in the game has its own settings that can change the whole gameplay experience. From limiting the number of castles you can build, to the amount of resources you can hold. There are a ton of settings that can be altered. So, before you jump into the game, carefully go through these settings. If you don't know what's good, just experiment around for a while. Collect resources during the day and work at night. Now, once you're in the game, the very first enemy that you will come across is light, and for a vampire, it's lethal. So try to avoid it as much as possible. But don't be afraid. Instead, make the most out of the daytime by collecting resources and running errands that don't unnecessarily expose you to sunlight. And use those resources to build whatever you want, or go out to hunt down the world bosses. Basically, you are free to do whatever you want without the fear of sunlight burning you down to ashes anytime soon. Learn to use chests. Since we're on the topic of collecting resources, we can't forget about the role of chests. And these are actually quite interesting as well, just like most of the things in this game. When you come back from your resource run and want to store your goods in these chests, there's a cool feature that you can use named Sort Compulsively. So what this does is that it only takes items from inventory that are of the type as the items already stored in your chest. This way you can actually store different resources in different chests, and don't forget to change their name accordingly, for your own convenience. Don't settle for single blood. For a vampire, blood is everything. And luckily, there are a variety of blood types in 𝐕. Each of these blood types has its own set of perks that can help you out in certain situations. Most beginners, including myself, make the mistake of somehow ignoring this feature or not making the most out of it. Don't make the same mistake. If you're in the resource collecting phase, you can cut the efforts and time in half by feeding on enough quality blood from a worker. The same goes for all the other blood types that come in handy in different situations, so do make the most of it. You love our content, right? Hit that like button and help us grow! Wolf form is more useful than you might think. 𝐕 features a slew of wildlife creatures lurking in the deep dark forest, including wolves, and you can actually transform into one after killing the first 𝐕 blood boss, an alpha wolf, and sucking onto its blood. The wolf form has its own perks, including faster movement and agility. But there's much more to it. When you transform into the wolf form, you will notice that the wildlife around you doesn't attack you anymore. That is also true for the animal bosses you stumble upon in the wilderness, until you provoke them first. The Getaway Horse. This one might not sound as important, but if you're playing on PvP server, there will be times when you'll need to get away from someone or close to someone depending on the situation. In both cases, you will need to be fast. And, well, horses are one of the best ways to move around in the game. You can find them in Dunley farmlands. But keep in mind that each of these horses has 3 different attributes including max speed, acceleration, and rotation that you can check by hitting the tab key on your keyboard. Use this to compare different horses and choose the best one to gallop away with. Teamwork is Dreamwork. You must have heard a lot that 2 are always better than 1. And, well, in 𝐕_Rising, it really is the more the merrier. Many beginners don't realize this, but you can actually get tasks completed without putting in any effort. You might be wondering, what? And how? Well, there are many tasks in 𝐕_Rising that require you to build and try something out. But if you have a team that has already built that thing, you can just go ahead and try it out without building your own thing over again. This helps you save a lot of time and resources. You can also help your friends in the same way. Check out this video. It's specially selected for you. You'll like it.